Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's Employee of the Month, 2 months in a row. Leave a message at the... Hi, Jamie. It's me, Jamie. I just had a new idea for our song about the Name Your Price tool. So when it's like, tell us what you want to pay, hey, 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 and the trombone goes, blah, 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 and you say, we'll help you find coverage options to fit your budget. Then we just all do finger snaps while a choir goes, savings coming at ya, savings coming at ya. Yes? No? Maybe? Anyway, see your practice tonight. I got new lyrics for the rap break.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Blog Talk Radio.
Let's go. It's time to attack. We the smartest, fastest, and most vicious. We gonna put them in their place. We coming around for one day. And he's gonna fire deep. But there inside the 10. Throws Superman. Put route by Edelman. Now they come on a reverse to the near side on a quick run.
All right, what's going on, NFL fans, and welcome to another edition of Cover 2 with your boys McMillan and Purdue, the show where we talk nothing but NFL football. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Devin McMillan, but I'm here at the round table with my partner in crime. We got Fred Purdue in the building. Fred, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? It's a really crazy week. We got a lot to talk about.
It really is a crazy week. And, you know, for everybody out there who waits on the show every week, we are recording. This is probably the latest we've recorded in an NFL week. So some of this stuff, we just going to get it off our chest now because it was a big week, especially in New Orleans because, man, the excitement went from I wouldn't even know how to describe this. So, you know, to jump right into it, this is one of our quick slants topics, but actually, I don't know. We might end up going a little deeper on this one here, especially the Saints, as you all know, unless you've been under a rock, earlier in the week signed Dez Bryant to a one-year deal. The excitement was on. You know, you had all the memes on the Saints new look offense and the help that Michael Thomas was getting on the other side and, you know, make it a little easier for Kamara out of the backfield and yada, yada, yada. Dez is excited because he had a November 29th date in Dallas, and I'm pretty sure, as my man Jimmy from War Room Sports would say, you know, we talked about it. He's like, yeah, Dez was in the supermarket shopping because he was planning on cooking the Cowboys. But I don't know if you guys been listening for the past 24 hours, but in Dez's second practice with the team, he was carried off the field with what looks to be a ruptured Achilles. MRI was done yesterday. The official results haven't come out yet, but basically it seems as if Dez Bryant will miss the rest of the season after missing, you know, the first half of the season due to not being on a team. Fred, what are your thoughts about this roller coaster ride that happened in New Orleans this week? Like, our conversation was supposed to be about how Dez can help the Saints, how much better of a team were they going to be. Now it's like the roller coaster.
Drake cleverly described this in a few words, 0 to 100 real quick. Well, it kind of went from 100 to 0 real quick because
it slammed on those brakes fast. Cop must have been sitting on the side of the road.
Exactly, because this one really just, I was just like, okay, I knew it was going to happen, but to the Saints? Okay. And it came across my wire, and I'm like, okay, he signed, cool. Let's see how he will fit. I mean, he's not a route runner. What can Drew Brees cook up? Because we know the mastermind of Drew Brees and Sean Payton. You're saying, oh, this is going to be real good. And then we see ruptured Achilles. And anytime you talk about an injury like this, it's like, uh-oh. So
I kind of thought,
I'm thinking to myself,
I thought it was going to be pretty scary for the rest of the NFC, considering this team is already scary for the rest of the NFC.
Already, yeah.
Reason why, you know, because you and I have documented that over the years that, you know, Dez is not a pinpoint route runner. But is there a better quarterback to play with, you know, not being a pinpoint route runner? Like, if you look at the analytics nerds and their statistics, the New Orleans Saints receivers get the least separation of any receiving core in the National Football League, but Drew Brees just puts it on your number, so a lot of times it doesn't matter. This was a perfect fit for Dez, in my opinion.
And for me, I said, I'm thinking, okay, at worst, he's a red zone threat, and well, he's probably one of the best at doing that. He was throw it up and go get it. But then I said, when this injury happened, I said, well, he hasn't played football. This is real football. He hasn't really done anything in almost a year. And, well, the practices in the NFL aren't hard anymore, but there's still some kind of physicality. And there's a difference in being in football shape and then just being in workout shape. And maybe his body was not in football shape. You have to do that. That's what preseason's for. We ain't talking about a lot of people, critical games. We're talking about preseason games. That's what that's for.
A lot of people don't understand that difference, though, because a lot of people think it's cliche and it's overrated when you say, football shape or basketball shape versus a guy sitting at home working out on his own. There's a difference when you're in between the walls of those facilities and you're working with those professionals. And, you're rich enough to hire professionals, but there's still a difference from being a workout maven and actually playing the game, man. There's a difference. I can't describe it myself, but, it's there. It's not cliche. And the funny part about it is this is what I've been saying for the last 7 or 8 weeks about Le'Veon Bell. Every week on the War Room when we talk about him, I keep saying, I have a feeling like when the Eagles were, big names in the trade for Le'Veon Bell sweepstakes, I was like, that'd be great. But I just have this feeling that as soon as this man comes back and walks out onto a football field, he's going to get a serious injury. There is a seriousness to the difference in sitting at home training yourself and actually being in football.
And then running that truck into a wall 10, 20 times a game. Yeah, it's
different. It's different. It's not just cardio. You know what I'm saying? It's not just cardio. We have to get somebody on the show, a professional athlete, to try to explain the difference to the people out there besides being in shape and being in football shape. But you brought up a point, Fred, that I had to give you the bingo on that one. First of all, we talk about practice and not being so grueling in the NFL, especially during the season, but you also have Dez coming in, and he has the chip on his shoulder to prove a point that you guys, picking me up was a good thing. I'm a hard worker, this and that. So I can imagine him trying to go a little bit harder in practice than everybody else is probably going. Also, you had Sean Payton saying that he kind of wanted Dez to lose some weight. So he's probably going hard at everything he does to the point where, and an Achilles injury, my brother had an Achilles injury. The doctor kind of describes those as, because Achilles injuries are basically just wear and tear from a lifetime of sports. If an Achilles is going to happen, it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? It's, you could say, what could I have done to prevent it, this and that. If an Achilles is about to rupture, an Achilles is about to rupture. It's just what it is. But I can definitely see Dez going a little bit harder in practice than most of the guys there because you want to prove yourself. You're coming somewhere, you want to prove yourself. But I thought this was going to be a great addition for the Saints. I don't think the conversation has to necessarily go to, okay, what now for the Saints? Because the Saints were chugging along anyway. Those guys who were doing most of the work just got to keep doing most of the work.
That was sprinkles on the cupcakes, man. That's
exactly. So the question now goes away from the Saints, in my opinion. They're still the Saints. They're still going to be contending with the Rams, for the conference. Maybe the Eagles if they can step back into the race. Maybe the Vikings if they can, live up to what they're supposed to be. But the question now that I ask to you, Fred, going forward, I think the conversation has to move to Dez Bryant. Seeing as though it was this difficult for him to get a job, at least one that he wanted this season, and there wasn't a lot of interest out there for him in the first place, a long Achilles rehab on deck, do you think Dez might be done? Like, it's going to be difficult to drum up interest after an Achilles if you couldn't drum up one, after just being Dez Bryant.
Well, whenever I've seen an Achilles injury, and the most recent one I can just remember where an athlete could come back was Kobe Bryant. And Kobe Bryant was, 36-ish when this happened, and he was never the same. I mean, he wasn't the same already, but he really wasn't the same. And it was just a grueling road, and that's Kobe Bryant, who works harder than 99.9% of his own league. Dez Bryant doesn't work harder than 99% of the NFL at his position. He's in a position where explosion off of that foot is paramount to what he does. He's a big guy. He doesn't separate already. He's in a physical sport, and by the way, he's going to be on the wrong side of 30 by the time he fully heals from this. And you're never fully healthy, even at the beginning of any NFL season. It's probably going to take about a year and a half, maybe two, and we're at the midway point of this season, so you won't be ready to go until about this time next year.
Right.
So that puts him at, I'm thinking on a timetable, that'll put him at about 31 when he's ready to go. I don't think this might be it. This one really might be it. And by the way, he doesn't play well in the slot, so he can't just transition from like a Larry Fitzgerald, who he's a big outside receiver, go up and get it guy. Now you can transition to being a better blocker, a better route runner. Yeah, this is where that whole you should have been a Swiss Army knife at wide receiver. This is where that comes in.
Right. Because exactly. Like you look at people in sports, in most sports, the fundamentals and paying attention to the details of your craft is what helps you remain relevant once your athleticism goes away. And, it's no secret. We've never thought Dez to be a fundamental player. Dez was just a beast, a freak. He was stronger than everybody else. He'd jump up, go get the ball. His style was never orthodox. Dez wasn't just going to hit you with a route and leave you there looking silly like a DeAndre Hopkins. And, yeah, I agree with you. And it's sad, man, because I was looking forward to seeing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're fans of certain teams, Fred, but, you and I can speak for both of us, we are fans and analysts of the game. I was excited to see how this was going to play out. I damn sure was excited to see Dez return to Dallas and see what that was going to look like. But it's not going to happen. Shout out to Dez, man. We hope it's not the end. We kind of think it's the end, but, work hard, try to get back. Maybe you can use this time to stay in that film room, and once you get your Achilles back and healed properly, maybe you can work on becoming a better route runner, and you can show some people some things and some workouts. But shout out to Dez, man. We hoping for you, we're praying for you. All right, so now let's get into some quicker things because we gotta get this one in the can and get it out the way because we are late this week, man. These games kick off tomorrow morning. Le'Veon Bell, as we mentioned earlier, he's still sitting out. The Pittsburgh Steelers say they fully expect Le'Veon Bell to report next week because, he's already missed 10 weeks without signing his $14.5 million franchise tag. If he doesn't report by Tuesday, then he forfeits the 2018 season. He's officially already lost out on $8.52 million of that $14.5 anyway. So your man, Fred, he's been on Twitter a lot lately, a lot of cryptic tweets. He had one that says something like, farewell Miami, and everybody knows that's where he's been. That's where he's been living. That's where he's been working out. We kind of read into that as, okay, I'm taking my ass back to work, so I'm leaving for Pittsburgh. And then he has all of these upside down written tweets, and he's mad about the critics. And, he also tries to look supportive and shouts out people from his team when he's watching the game and they're doing well. What's going on with Le'Veon right now? Do you think that this was the most failed holdout in the history of big names in the NFL?
I think so. I have 14 million reasons why I would have returned at least by week 10. But I'm not an NFL player, so I can't go into the mind of an NFL player. But from the outside looking in, it's like I understand you don't want to go back because you know they're going to run you into the ground. But at the same time, they need to win football games, and they have a two-headed monster now with you and James.
I'm about to say you got a partner now.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's the thing about it failing, Fred. Like James Conner is running all over his leverage. Literally, he is running all over Le'Veon's leverage.
The production is literally the same, and I thought James Conner would be a nice power back. He was a great story. He'd be one of those guys the Steelers never get rid of because he's just beyond the story. He's a marketing tool for them. I mean, he's the guy that beat cancer and he made it. And, I mean, he's the inspiration. He's what a Pittsburgh Steeler is. He's a lunch pail kind of guy. I hate that cliche, but he's a lunch pail kind of guy. There's nothing special about him as a player.
Right.
He's effective and it works. And by the way, it helps to have Ben Roethlisberger and AB on your team. But
Fred, I've been looking at this dude all season, and my take on him is like, in my opinion, he doesn't even seem to run confidently. That's been improving over the weeks. This was definitely an early criticism. He didn't seem to run confidently to me. Then for me, also, I think his vision may be the best attribute he has, but he kind of seems to tiptoe through holes and stuff like that, but he is getting it done. Like in Bell's absence, this dude has produced a total of 1,158 yards and 11 touchdowns through 9 games. Like, it was crazy. The only thing, that's hindering him a little bit now, and it might be great that you get Bell back this week, he has been placed in the concussion protocol after Thursday night's thrashing, 52-21 thrashing against the Panthers. But it has been confirmed by an LA Fitness manager in North Pittsburgh that Le'Veon Bell has indeed returned to town. They said he was in there Tuesday night playing basketball at the facility. So, but that's another thing. Like Le'Veon Bell, you've been holding out all season.
And
there's a thing called football shape that Fred and I have talked about earlier in this show, talking about Dez. I don't think the first thing you want to do when you land in town is go out and play another sport when you got the rest of this money on the line. Like, you need to wrap your ass in bubble wrap until you get to practice, get some shoes, and get those.
Don't fall down the stairs. Don't sneeze.
Don't walk down any stairs. Like, if you live in if your house in Pittsburgh is, if it has different levels, like, sleep on the first floor.
Stay on the base level.
Like, don't go upstairs. Yeah. You get somebody to go get your clothes for you, and you stay on the first floor. If you don't have a shower in the bathroom on the first floor, I mean, you should. You're rich. Wash up in the kitchen sink. Like, you got to bubble wrap it, man. Like, you can't go there and go straight to LA Fitness to play basketball. Like, you can't do that, man. All right,
Speaking of James Conner, before we move on real quick, James, if you didn't tell me, you just said, hey, just in passing, James Conner's is second in the league only behind Todd Gurley in touchdowns, rushing touchdowns and rushing yards. I'd tell you, I'd be like, FOH. But it's true. It's kind of close. He's only about 100 and so yards off.
Put it like this. If Le'Veon Bell doesn't come back and snatch his snaps like he's going to do, like, truthfully and realistically, James Conner would be in the running for Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, he wouldn't win it, but his name would be mentioned as a top 5 candidate at least for Offensive Player of the Year. But all of that's going to change once he has to share the load with Le'Veon Bell. So we'll see. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers, just last note on this, if the Pittsburgh Steelers in some crazy world decide to hold on to Le'Veon Bell and franchise him again, this next tag will be for quarterback money. So, it'll be one of those things. Are you really willing
to pay him quarterback money and go through this all over again? You should have traded him a long time ago.
Hey, it seems like that's what the hell he wanted in the first place. But Yes, that would be the thing. So, the franchise tag, it doesn't give you that long-term stability. It doesn't give you that signing bonus that a lot of people look for. But you can make a nice little living off of that. Ask Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
because he got paid a whole lot in the last few years that he didn't deserve.
If my boss told me, hey, if you we're just going to hold on to you for one more year for $14 million. You just have to come to work every day. And by the way, you're going to be working longer hours, maybe 2 or 3 extra hours every day. You wouldn't even have to ask me. You wouldn't. Just sign for me. Okay, I'll be there.
Yeah. All right, another quick slant. Bruce Irving, after clearing waivers, he signed with the Falcons. So Dan Quinn has himself another pass rusher. A lot of people thought he may have been looking towards the Steelers, the Patriots, teams like that. You got quick thoughts on Bruce Irving signing with the Falcons?
We don't care about you, Bruce Irving. We don't care about you. Go to Atlanta. Don't make the playoffs. Enjoy it.
And that's all we got. And even if you do happen to get in, you're gonna choke. So have fun with that. must be in it for the strip clubs. And then some other injury news. Sean Lee out for another 4 to 6 weeks. And Ryan Tannehill, he's with that shoulder injury that he's had, he's gonna miss another week at least. Let's start with Sean Lee real quick, man. This has become status quo, basically. Sean Lee, when on the field, is an absolute monster, and he's an absolute great linebacker. But you cannot hitch your wagon to Sean Lee. It's obvious. He missed 5 games last season. He's likely to miss at least 8 games this season because he's already sat out 3 games earlier in the season. Now he's expected to miss another 4 to 6 weeks. How long can the Cowboys do this dance with Sean Lee, Fred, especially considering, the Cowboys are getting criticism from old Hall of Fame Cowboys about the organization right now and how everything needs to be blown up. So to stack onto those problems that you're having offensively with your quarterback, with your coach, your best player maybe, you got Zeke, but your best player, at least your best player on defense, cannot stay on the field. How long can they do this dance? They did draft what could be his replacement. How long can they do this dance?
Well, I'm kind of the belief of my head coach, Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick would have got rid of him 2 years ago. No matter how good he was, he would have been traded for about maybe a 4th round pick, maybe a 3rd round pick, and if he would have got the right partner, he would have probably finessed him out of maybe a 2nd round pick because he's going to give you 10 games. We're going to tell you we got 10 games for you. You might make the playoffs. We'll give you 8 to 10 great ones. Bench them early in the year, start them later in the year. I need a 2nd round pick for him. I'm just saying I would have cut him or traded him a long time ago because simply the injuries can't really the ends don't justify the means, quite honestly.
Right.
And
right.
He's broken goods. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but he's just he's made of glass.
And defensive coordinator Rod Marinelli, he says, I don't know if I've ever been around a guy who prepares harder, is more locked in every day, and how much it means to him. This thing is everything to him. Some guys just play and it's a career. It's more than that for him. So that's what hurts. It definitely hurts. Like we said, we're taking nothing away from Sean Lee as a player, but availability is, just as important as how great you are. And
Sean Lee has Hall of Fame abilities. His body just doesn't have Hall of Fame jacket abilities.
He has Hall of Fame ability, but Division III availability.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't make sense.
His injury rating is on maybe 12.
Right. So he's going to be the one that goes down as what could have been. They're going to do either a 30 for 30 or a football life on Sean Lee and what he could have been.
What if I told you I could never stay healthy?
Right, exactly. What if I told you I could have been the greatest linebacker of all time, but my body was a piece of trash. So Ryan Tannehill, there's a lot of premature talk in Miami about, is he done here? Like, what are your thoughts? because this right shoulder capsule injury has lingered a little longer than the organization or, of course, Ryan Tannehill himself would have thought and would have hoped. He's probably about to miss his 5th consecutive game. What's going on here?
Well, Ryan Tannehill already was not a good quarterback. And that's the crazy part. He was already not a good quarterback.
What Jay say, Fred? Had a spark when you started, but now you're just garbage.
When he came out of Texas A&M, I wasn't a fan. Unfortunately, he was throwing to the guy that was going to be his successor and really good later in Johnny Manziel. But we thought, maybe he could be an okay quarterback, but nah. I just never saw anything great out of him. And the thing is, they're scheming around him, and when they scheme around him, it's like, okay, you can sustain this for a couple weeks, and then NFL quarterback or NFL coaches start catching up to it, and, well, you don't have the greatest arm. You're not really a great runner. You don't have dynamic weapons. You can't have all of those things be negative and still expect to succeed. This is the Miami Dolphins. They'll probably keep him around, and he'll probably be attached to Adam Gase. He's a decent coordinator, but this whole situation in Miami, it's going to get blown up again, and they'll be in rebuilding mode again. So enjoy, guys, down south. Keep helping New England. Keep doing your job.
All right, no doubt. So that's our quick slants for the week. We're going to go into our pick 6 and move this show right along. Earlier in the week, when the topics and outlines were written out by my partner, Fred Perdue, we were going to talk about the Panthers and Steelers, but since we're running so late on getting the show out this week, as you guys know, that game already went down. I would have picked the Steelers anyway. I didn't know they were going to run roughshod over the Panthers because the Panthers have been playing pretty good lately. And this might be crazy to say, especially after a 52-21 victory or whatever the final score ended up being. This might sound crazy, but I still don't think the Panthers played all that bad. I just think, the Steelers have stepped it up to another gear as of late, and they might try to get themselves back into that mix that had me picking them as a Super Bowl team in our preseason picks. You can't say someone played good when they got the crap beat out of them like that, but I didn't look at this as an all-out flopper for at least for the Panthers as a whole. You had some culprits in there who did their part in allowing this to get ugly the way it did.
That's the game tape. You say, guys, we're throwing this tape out. Forget it. Let's move on to the next one. And we start practice. That's how we start practice.
Yeah, that's like when somebody put a 52 on you. Not much to learn from that, man. Let's just move on and do what we do. All right, so we're gonna start this pick 6 with Fred's bunch. The New England Patriots going to visit the Tennessee Titans. This is a 1:00 game, like I said, in Nashville. The Titans coming off a good Monday night win against the Dallas Cowboys. I think a lot of people may have picked Dallas to beat the Titans, and the Titans went out there and handled their business. Any chance that they go home and repeat defeat against your Patriots?
Cannot play with them. Cannot coach with them. Can't do it. And this is the reason why. Okay, so the Tennessee Titans are trying to build their team like the New England Patriots, but they can't do it. You cannot replicate this in another city. You have Malcolm Butler, you have Deion Lewis, you have Logan Ryan, you have Mike Vrabel. Why do you have so many New England pieces there? I don't understand. Why are you trying to build this team like your former team? You could have stayed with the former team instead of having to do the remix. We don't know. But quite honestly, Marcus Mariota has not been the greatest quarterback we've seen ever this year. Tom Brady has 3 times the touchdowns that he has right now. And that's bad. Marcus Mariota, 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions this year. Not great. He's not. Yeah. He's kind of regressed. It just seems like he's regressed, and Jameis is in trouble. That draft class a few years ago doesn't look all that great anymore. And this is what Tom Brady thrives on. Last time we saw these two teams and they hooked up, Kevin Byers said something along the lines of, we're going to make Tom Brady look really bad. And, well, Tom Brady made sure to let him know about it in that playoff game. And, well, New England hung 30-plus points on him. It's going to be a lot of the same. Rex Burkhead's returning. The running back depth is coming back. Sony Michel's returning. Gronk should be okay. This is going to be a drubbing. Give me the Patriots.
Yeah, I've never pretty much felt highly about Marcus Mariota as an NFL quarterback, even when, you know, my fellow Eagles fans were temporarily insane and, you know, every slogan was "In Chip We Trust," and they were all for Chip Kelly mortgaging the whole future to grab Marcus Mariota, and a trade, had that happened, would have, you know, not vacated. It just would have never happened. Super Bowl that they just won would have never happened had they let Chip Kelly, you know, get away with what he tried to get away with. And he pretty much had the power to do it. So thank you to the Titans for not accepting this dumbass offer that Chip Kelly tried to give you. Mariota has his moments this season, and his moments seem to come against NFC East teams because he had moments in the Philly game, he had moments in the Dallas game. Other than that, no. And I don't think Belichick is going to be the one to lose to a Marcus Mariota-led team. He just doesn't let that kind of stuff happen. Barely with young quarterbacks, even the good ones. So he's damn sure not going to let a young, not-so-good quarterback beat them. So I got the Patriots as well. Let's flip around this list. We're gonna go Detroit versus Chicago. Now the Lions go, and this is another 1:00 game. The Lions are going into Soldier Field to see the Bears. I think, quite simply, I think the Bears are going to win this game. I wouldn't say the Bears are flying on all cylinders right now, but the defense is good. This is a surprise team in my opinion. I didn't think the Bears were going to be this good. They got a double-headed monster back there at running back that the Lions are going to have to contend with. Like, if you're a fantasy football owner, it's like they basically got two RB1s pretty much in Howard and Cohen. Take your pick. Usually they both can find a way to get their production at the same time. I think last week, Tariq Cohen, because of, you know, how the game went, he wasn't that productive. But I got the Bears right now being a little more than what the Lions are ready to contend with. Trubisky is improving. You know, I've had some criticism about him and his erraticness, but I got the Bears in this one.
Same. The Lions for a while seemed like they were leaving that whole dysfunctional group of teams. There was maybe 3 or 4 teams, you know, the Raiders, Dolphins, Cowboys. They were a part of that group. Well, they seemed like for a while they were kind of going away from that. And then they started trading guys and bringing in Garrett Blunt and things like that. And, well, this team is back to dysfunctional, Bill. Like you said, with these Lions, Bears. When you look at this team, running back galore, you have 2, Cohen and Howard. These guys are going to run roughshod over these Lions. Ezekiel Ansah, he's probably going to get he may get a sack or so. But Trubisky's doing a lot better. This is the one team I thought maybe could they use Amari Cooper. Out of all the teams that we named, they're the ones that maybe need a true number one. Allen Robinson hasn't really worked out the way we thought he would. If you get this guy some weapons, maybe Trubisky might be a pretty decent quarterback, especially with Matt Nagy, who's he's on that tree of Andy Reid. So you understand, he of quarterback whisperers and great play callers. Defense has been a lot better than I thought. And by the way, Khalil Mack's coming back. Matthew Stafford, you're not the most mobile guy in the world. Khalil Mack's kind of mad because he's had to miss some games. Watch out. Right.
And Matt, we all know now he's missing his yak guy, so he can't throw any more 2-yard passes to Tate and watch Tate, inflate his numbers. All right, so we're in agreement with that one. Let's flip over to the West Coast real quick. We got a 4:25 game. We got the Seahawks visiting the Rams. Rams coming off their first loss of the season. This is where we see what the Rams are about. This is a bounce back game. It's a division game. Which, I think the Seahawks are a pretty tough opponent for pretty much anybody, Rams included. So I think if the Rams aren't coming off of that loss, I would give the Seahawks a better chance to be the team to actually upset them for their first loss. But since it's already out of the way, this is where the Rams have to show, since there are a lot of people, including myself, picking them to make it to and some win the Super Bowl, in my case as well. This is where you have to show that you're the type of team after a bump in the road, you go home, you regroup, you come back out, and you show people why they were on you, like that in the first place. And I think pretty much they're going to do it. So I got the Rams at home against the Seahawks.
I said at the beginning of the year, I said if the Seattle Seahawks are going to finish in the second spot or in the first spot for this division, Russell Wilson would have to be the guy. He'd have to be Superman plus some. And he's been able to keep this team afloat, but not this week. This is the angry week when you probably should have won that game last week. And you just kind of got it handed to you by a bit of a better team. The Rams are going to be angry. They're going to be embarrassed. They're mad because they lost that undefeated streak. They didn't even get on the block. As Mercury Morris said, they didn't even get on the block. So, yeah, expect Todd Gurley and company to come out just hot. And this game's usually a close one every year. These two division rivals play each other tough. It's crazy how the mighty have fallen a bit. Seattle used to be that team where you weren't going in there and just running ruckshot on them. I mean, there was a physical group and the way the 12s used to get, but this isn't your I can't even say your father's Seahawks. This isn't your little brother's Seahawks. So give me the Rams in this one, but it's still going to be close. Russell Wilson will make it interesting.
All right, let's flip it back to the East Coast, New York State to be exact. We got what we're calling the Toilet Bowl. So I guess that would make the state of New York the toilet. We got the Bills going to visit the Jets. What's your thoughts on this one?
The Peterman is going to be getting another opportunity.
Thanks.
How many picks? What's the over-under on interceptions for this one? I'm thinking maybe
has to be 3.
3.5. 3.5. So I'm going. Nonetheless, I'd easily say give me the Jets if Sam Darnold was playing, but Sam Darnold's not playing. He has a wrist injury, and Josh McCown's playing, and Josh McCown isn't terrible, but this one's going to be bad. Like, this is the type of game where you just watch the score. You don't even waste your time to watch this thing. Give me the Jets in this one only because the Peterman's on the other side.
I was just about to say, I don't have as much to say about this as Fred. All I have to say is the Peterman. Jets are going to win. This guy is all-time bad. And I feel sorry for him that I have to speak about him in this manner. There's a GoFundMe page circulating from Bill's Mafia right now to get this man enough money to feel comfortable with retiring. And it's only garnered about $182 in the past week. He can't even get pushed out of town successfully. He's that much of a failure, man. Shout out to the Peter, man. I hope you're good at selling insurance. I hope you got the gift of gab because this NFL thing, I don't necessarily think it's going to work. Let's go over to the NFC East. We talked a little bit about the Dallas Cowboys and their dysfunction and their linebacker and all the stuff that they have going on. They're going into what they're calling a must-win contest Sunday night, 8:20 p.m. Eastern time against their division rival and defending Super Bowl champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, who are in a pretty much of a kind of a must-win situation themselves. I don't think it's as dire as the Cowboys. The Cowboys situation, Fred, might be more dire because their win, this is hinging on the future of their franchise, and we can't overstate that. We can't understate that because it's true. This is not just all right to keep us in the playoff mix. They're getting all kinds of rumblings and voices coming from the outside talking like it's really time to look at this head coach. It's really time to look at this quarterback when you have the owner and GM out here talking about he's definitely going to extend Dak. But after a few more bad showings, Are you going to stick with that? So this is a must-win game for the 3-5 Cowboys. They're going into Philly in a primetime game that usually doesn't spell great success for them throughout history. I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one. I think they're a desperate bunch as well, just trying to keep pace with the better teams in the conference and to keep pace with Washington at the top of this division. The time is kind of now because they could pounce on the fact that Washington is a banged-up team at the moment. And, you don't bank on what happened with the Eagles last season, being banged up with pretty much your best player at every level of your team being injured and you still being able to make that run. Like, you don't bank on that for every team every year. So this is the time that they can pounce. I got the Eagles in this one. I'm going to predict, and unless the Cowboys show any kind of heart, pride, and just desperation in that must-win tag that they got going on, I got a feeling this one might get ugly. I got the Eagles.
Give me the Eagles in this one. The last time you guys faced off, this was a 6-0 game. I'm not banking on that either. I'm just not confident in this team. They're too inconsistent. That is their motto to me is inconsistency. One game,
wait,
Zeke is
Fred,
going
before
crazy.
you finish that thought though, context: 6-0. They were playing our second and third stringers, and they were going hard trying to win.
Exactly.
You got to put that out there. Like, we were preparing for the
exactly.
playoffs. So they stink.
This game is going to be the one thing I do want to see in this game is Amari Cooper's been here 2 weeks now. Let's see how that connection with him and Zeke is. Is it the receiver who's not really getting it, or is it with Dak, and is Dak just really not getting it? Because now he has that receiver. I mean, Amari Cooper at one time we thought of him as an elite receiver, and he showed he still got the goods when he left Siberia. I mean,
I think it's Dak.
It's Dak. It is Dak. And
last week I watched Amari
Cooper
run some nice outside routes, and I saw Dak throw the ball out of bounds by mistake, not on purpose. Just overshot the dude.
Troy Aikman says we should blow this thing up. I've been wanting them to blow this thing up since about the Terrell Owens days. So, yeah, it's about that time. I'm hoping – I'm taking Philly in this one. Carson Wentz this might be one of his time to get right games. I picked you guys to win the division, but I also said that Washington team would be a little bit better, and, well, they're kind of holding on. So I need both of these things to happen. So I need you guys to win, but don't win all the way. Make me look good.
All right, so speaking of this Washington team, I saved it for last because my partner at 1 o'clock is actually going to be in the building for this in Tampa. We got the Washington professional football team taking their NFC East leading record down to Tampa, very banged up. They're going to have 3 new starters on the offensive line. You're pretty much your best receiver, at least who's supposed to be their best receiver. He's done for the year, Paul Richardson. Alex Smith is being Alex Smith as of late. Teams that can key in and stop Adrian Peterson can basically stop this offense. And now that Adrian Peterson is going to be running behind a ragtag offensive line, it's not looking too good for them, but let's see if they can get on that next man up mentality and keep this lead in this NFC East, especially at a time when people who were a little doubtful of them in the first place definitely thought, okay, it's over now. Like, let's stop the charade. They're a good team. They're a good defense. They kind of got exposed last week, but, they have the opportunity to bounce back. The Fitzmagic is back, though, and I think, as bad as he can play at times, he's good for at least 3 touchdown passes next week. I mean, he could have 4 interceptions to go with it, but the 3 touchdown passes in the game. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to pick the Buccaneers on this one. I saved you for last, Fred, because this is our last game. We're about to sign off. You're going to be in the building for the game, so have at it.
So this game is going to be a lot like last week. You're going to see very much like Atlanta, who had a really good offense going there up against a team that their front seven is really good, back end isn't all that great. By the way, Quentin Dunbar has surpassed Josh Norman as the best DB on their team. HaHa Clinton-Dix is kind of now in the mix there. So for me, when I look at this game, you're going to have to correct the mistakes that you had last week against Atlanta. Yeah, you don't have Julio Jones, but now you have Deshaun Jackson and Mike Evans and Goodwin, O.J. Howard. You have death by 1,000 cuts versus one big chop, and that's what's going. Can this defense really hold up? Can they get after a not so great offensive line? Can Fitzmagic show up? Which Fitzmagic is going to show up? The Fitzmagic that's going to throw 5 touchdowns, or the Fitzmagic that's going to throw 5 interceptions? And for me, when I look at this game is all Adrian Peterson behind that ragtag offensive line, but they're well coached. Alex Smith has to go back to old Alex Smith, where he's dinking and dunking his way down the field because his offensive line is bad. So he's having to get it out early. This is going to be either really good or really bad for either side. This is going to be a back and forth type of thing. I'm taking the Washington team in this. Actually, I take that back. No, I'm not even going to do that. I'm not even going to take a chance on this. I can't do that on a I can't do that with a straight face.
You were taking them just because of you had to, like you said, you had to keep up with the fact that you gave them props at the beginning. It's okay, man.
Yeah.
We can use the injury.
I got
anyway.
I'm sorry. I'm taking Tampa in this one. If Tampa messes this up, they deserved everything they got. Give me Tampa in this one. Fitzmagic, please. If Fitzmagic is bad, I can see Jameis coming in at some point. But they have to make up their mind who they want to play. Both sides definitely have to run the ball, and I really, really, really want to see a lot of weapons. I came for the weapons. I want to see James. I want to see OJ. I want to see Mike Evans. I want to see Deshaun. I want to see Humphreys, and Justin Watson has been a guy that maybe you might want to watch. He's on the back end of the roster as far as receivers are concerned, but he's a really good slot receiver, and I want to see him get a couple passes in there. But definitely want to see Mike Evans take the place.
All right, well, there you have it. Look, we gotta hurry up and get this show out to the people because these games are going to be kicking off in like 24 hours or so. Fred's going to be at this game, so like I said, maybe for the later game, second half of the later game, you can hit him on Twitter. I mean, you can hit him on Twitter all you want, but he's going to be.
I'll be tweeting from the game. I'll make sure I tweet from the game.
Yeah, definitely be tweeting at you guys from the game, so look out for that. I'll be here in the building, probably a little late myself. Son, he got a basketball tryout tomorrow that ends at 1:30. I'm like, come on, these people don't watch football. Like, what is he playing for? An organization that's Kaepernick Strong or something? Shout out to Cap. But yeah, so it's going to be an interesting Sunday of games. You can definitely catch Fred and I both in the later parts of the second game and definitely during the Sunday nighter. I don't know how much you'll get from me during the Sunday nighter because I have a rooting interest, so I might not be, too much on social media. But it's going to be an interesting one, man. Shout out to Dez again, man. We're praying for you over here. Big fella, get better. Hopefully you can get back into the NFL. This has been another edition, another episode of Cover 2 with McMillan and Purdue. For my man Purdue, I'm McMillan. Like we always tell you guys around this time, don't accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance, and we'll see you chumps on top.
Going up to LaFell, touchdown. The big screen, Sanchez over the middle, touchdown. Play action, Cutler wide open, Sanzenbacher.
War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.
Ugh, this phone drives me crazy.
Excuse me, I'm the Sprint intern from Sprint. Try my new iPhone XR with an amazing liquid retina display.
This is amazing. Mind if I snap a few photos? Look at that color. I love this display.
I'm gonna need that back.
Switch to Sprint and get iPhone XR 64 gigabytes for $0 per month with an eligible trade-in and a Sprint Flex lease. Visit a Sprint store, sprint.com/iPhone, or call 1-800-SPRINT1.
Phone $0 per month for 18 months after $31.25 per month. Credit applied within 2 bills. If cancel early, remaining balance due. Excludes tax. Subject to credit. $30 activation fee. Coverage and offer not everywhere. Restrictions apply.
This phone drives me crazy.
Excuse me, I'm the Sprint intern from Sprint. Try my new iPhone XR with an amazing liquid retina display.
This is amazing. Mind if I snap a few photos? Look at that color. I love this display.
I'm gonna need that back.
Switch to Sprint and get iPhone XR 64 gigabytes for $0 per month with an eligible trade-in and a Sprint Flex lease. Visit a Sprint store, sprint.com/iPhone, or call 1-800-SPRINT1.
Phone $0 per month for 18 months after $31.25 per month. Credit applied within 2 bills. If cancel early, remaining balance due. Excludes tax. Subject to credit. $30 activation fee. Coverage and offer not everywhere. Restrictions apply.